The Corpse Reviver number 2 was, as you may well have guessed, allegedly designed to raise its drinker from the dead, or at least the depths of a belter of a hangover. But why is this guy, the Corpse Reviver number 2, the most famous? Well, the original Corpse Reviver cocktails came from Harry Craddock's Savoy cocktail book, and while I think that I would struggle with the Corpse Reviver number 1's combination of vermouth, apple brandy and brandy when feeling a little bit worse for wear, the number 2 is zesty and refreshing and packs enough of a punch to dust off the cobwebs from the night before. Even if you're not hungover, it's a delicious drink. It combines gin, triple sec, aperitif wine and lemon juice in equal parts with an absinthe rinse just to tie all those lovely fruity and herbaceous flavours together. It was once somewhat obscure, but it has become a firm favourite amongst bartenders, so I'm going to teach you how to master it and score some street cred amongst any discerning drinkers you might know. Make sure you subscribe and hit the little notification bell too, because in our next video we'll be taking a look at the Corpse Revivers numbers 1 and 3, so you can decide which you'd rather drink at 11 AM. Now, before we have a chat about these products, let's take a closer look at the history of this cocktail. We bartenders are not particularly known for our small egos, and the Corpse Reviver family is the result of my predecessors playing, if not God, then at least doctors. The original drinks emerged in the 1800s with mentions in fashionable publications such as Punch magazine, and a few recipes appear under this name in cocktail books around the same time, but all of them are wildly different, which leads me to believe that many bartenders had their own Corpse Reviver that they swore by and would administer to their loyal clientele when they were hungover. The man who made it stick though is Harry Craddock, arguably one of the most famous bartenders of all time. He was an Englishman who honed his craft in America before returning to England and taking the helm at the Savoy's legendary American bar when Prohibition hit. Legend has it that he actually mixed the very last legal drink in the States before he left, but I have no idea how you would actually verify that. While at the American bar, he published the Savoy Cocktail Book, which is definitely still a worthwhile investment for anyone that's interested in cocktail culture. Not only are there seminal recipes such as the Corpse Reviver number 2 and the White Lady, which is also coming soon, so please do subscribe if you haven't already, but he includes witty observations, such as my favourite about the Corpse Reviver number 2. 4 of these taken in swift succession will unrevive the corpse again. Next, before we get to making this little beauty, we'll take a look at the ingredients that I've chosen and why. One of the nice things about this cocktail is that all of the ingredients and flavours balance with no real hero. After all, you don't really want your hair of the dog to taste too much of the dog that bit you. So for the gin, you just want a really good juniper and citrus London dry gin. Really any of the major brands work well, so Beefeater, Plymouth or anything like that, but I've gone for Tanqueray. Now there's no legal difference between triple sec and Curacao. They are both orange liqueurs made with either a brandy or a neutral spirit base. The differences are more historical and stylistic, so I just tend to go for brands that I like. Cointreau is the most well-known and readily available, or Pierre Ferrand Curacao is really great quality for the price point, and both would work well here. I'm using Marionette because it's a great local product and I love how zesty it is in this drink. Now Harry Craddock's recipe called for Kina Lillet, which is no longer made. Lillet is obviously still around as a fortified and aromatized wine, which totally does work in this cocktail. It's just a bit softer than Kina Lillet would have been as it had more quinine in it, so I've gone for Cocchi Americano, which is a punch of bittersweet herbaceousness. As for the absinthe, it's a distilled spirit flavoured with anise and wormwood, and its history is a veritable wormhole, if you'll pardon the pun, which we'll have to head into another time. Here we're just using it for a rinse, so it doesn't have to be particularly complex. As long as you stay away from the fluoro-coloured stuff usually made in Eastern Europe, you'll be fine. Pastis can also definitely be substituted if you already have that. It'll just lend a little extra sweetness to the finished drink. Now the original recipe doesn't actually specify a garnish for this. I do like to do a little lemon twist though, just to kind of lift all the flavours and make sure that lovely lemony freshness gets up to your nose. So as always, let's do our garnish first. So you just want to cut a little twist off the lemon skin by cutting away from you. And then you want to go back and take off as much of the bitter white pith as you can get off. Quite often I do this in the bar with a little vegetable peeler instead. You can definitely do that as well. Again, just make sure that it's not cutting too thick a piece off where you're getting quite a lot of the kind of bitter white pith in there too. And then you can give it a little trim down. Obviously you can keep it rustic if you like, but it's going in a fancy coupe glass, so I like to trim it when it's like that. And then we need some lemon juice for this cocktail as well, so we can just cut this lemon in half and squeeze it. Now to actually build the drink, you want to pop 20 ml of each of all the ingredients except for your absinthe into the smaller part of your shaker tin. Now, I'm not going to lie, I don't always do this myself, but it is good protocol to start with your sort of cheaper ingredients first, because obviously if you mess up, then at least you haven't wasted some gin or some kind of more expensive Curacao or something. So start with your lemon juice, 20 ml. Then we're going to go 20 ml of our Cocchi Americano, so nice bittersweet fortified and aromatized wine. 20 ml of our orange liqueur for a local and particularly zesty option, and 20 ml of gin. Now, before we shake this one, we want to get our glass rinsed with absinthe, because obviously shaking is the last thing you should do. You want to be shaking and pouring straight into the glass. Obviously, absinthe is a really powerful flavor, so you really don't want to overdo it. The easiest way I've found is to use a little atomizer bottle. So you can get these in kind of most, dollar shops or anything like that, and just spray it into the glass. Just one squirt's plenty. Otherwise, what you want to do is pour a little bit of absinthe into the glass. Just tip it on its side, but so it doesn't pour out, and just turn the glass around slowly, trying to get it as close to the rim as possible without spilling it all over your bar top. And then once you've done that, you just give it a little flick onto the floor if you have cleaners, or into the sink if you don't. Now you want to fill the small half of your shaker tin with ice. Again, as always, you want as much ice as you can fit in there. Pop your shaker tins together, make sure you've got a nice straight line here, and shake as hard as you can. Once your tin is nice and frosty, crack it open. Give it a little taste. Delicious. So you want to use your hawthorn strainer to hold the ice back in the shaker tin, and then your fine strainer to get all of the extra little shards of ice out. Give your garnish a little twist over the top of the drink to get those lovely lemon oils all over the surface. Pop it on the side of the glass. So there you have it. Before I try this and let you know how it tastes, let's have a quick look at some variations. As I discussed in the history of this drink, the moniker Corpse Reviver covers a startlingly wide range of drinks. For instance, the Corpse Reviver No. 3 appeared in a 1956 mixer's manual as something more resembling a champagne cocktail, so basically just champagne spiked with lemon juice and Pernod. In the 1937 Café Royal cocktail book, it lists 3 very different Corpse Reviver recipes, one being a concoction of brandy, lemon juice, orange juice, grenadine and champagne, which honestly just sounds like a Barocca prototype minus the electrolytes. And my personal favourite is the Corpse Reviver No. Blue, which substitutes regular Curacao for the blue Curacao of our 90s nightclub dreams, and anyone who says that blue drinks don't taste better is a liar. As for the Corpse Reviver No. 1, Craddock said it was to be taken before 11 AM or whenever steam and energy are needed. So make sure you subscribe and hit that little bell to find out if he was right. Better give it a little try. That is such a delicious drink. I actually kind of wish I was hungover to really make the most of it. It's just really, really like zesty and fresh. So you've got obviously the heaps of lemon juice and the orange coming through. And I think that's why I love using Marionette, because it is like a bit kind of fresher and brighter than a lot of other Orange liqueur is not quite as sweet. And then you've just got that like tiny little note of the absinthe sort of underpinning it all and bringing it all together, which is something for me to say because actually I personally am not a massive fan of anything aniseed, but yeah, just that like little note kind of ties everything together really nicely in this drink. Corpse Reviver number 2 to bring you back from the dead. So now you know.